try and beat the rain here. Hopefully everybody's staying warm. Take questions.
What's this week been like for you?
Yeah, obviously a change in terms of scheduling, in terms of just, obviously everything that's been going on. But, our jobs as coaches is to adapt and obviously move on. We have to get ready to play a game here very soon against a really good opponent in the Green Bay Packers. So challenging, but that's our job to rise to the challenge.
What issues was Jamie having in Chicago? I know it was a windy day, but
yeah, and it's nothing necessarily that we didn't foresee the weather being an issue. Obviously, going into Chicago, you're always ready for that, and then we had trained in weather that was actually going to be similar. But the nature of it is we got to execute better. Part of windy days controls your drop a little bit more. So in terms of punting, holding onto the ball a little bit longer, that would allow you to hit more pure of contact to make sure that miss hit towards the end of the game doesn't happen. And then on kickoff, obviously when the conditions are windy and it's cold and that ball's not going to fly more, what's more intentional has got to be hitting the sweet spot of the football. And I know Jamie wants to be better. We got to be better. And that's something that we will moving forward.
Schematically with a different head coach, is there a demand for, significance? I guess significance is probably not the right word, but a decent amount of changes, or is it just like, hey, we're on short time here, let's kind of stick to what we've been doing?
From that standpoint, our special team system, has been in place, and every week you always are adding different wrinkles. So that's always ever evolving. And, I think the nature of it is, regardless of the change or not, the players have to be confident in the system that they're running. And a lot of that deals with going into this next week with the fundamentals, the technique, the base schemes of what we've done in the past. And, we've had success on special teams, had some blemishes here and there across a couple of games. But, for the most part, I'm happy with where our guys are at. And I think we obviously got to continue to work and continue to play consistent football. And again, big challenge this week against the Packers.
What happened to Younghoe?
I think he kicked really well during the game. He kicked really well yesterday as well. So excited to see him continue with more reps. That comfort with Jamie and Casey. But he's excited. He's a guy that obviously, as a true pro, was, not necessarily waiting for his opportunity, but ready for his opportunity when it presented itself, and I felt like he took advantage of that.
Did he get hurt on that tackle on the last kickoff?
No, I mean he like the nature of it is like he got in on a tackle, but he was fine. I'm sorry. I mean, there was like a big gust of wind right there that you just saw that whole thing blow over. All right, but no, he kicked really well yesterday, and we don't necessarily always want our kicker getting active in on the tackles, but Koo is a guy that doesn't shy away from anything. The toughness of any football player is embodied by him, regardless of the position that he plays.
You bring him over to the stadium yesterday, and
yep, yeah.
Like, what's your thought process on that? Like, when do you pick and choose? Like, you don't do that all the time. Like, how do you why and
yeah?
What's the thought process behind that?
So yesterday was obviously a windy day. Projected weather come Sunday is going to call for some wind. Could that die down? Absolutely. But on the 2 days that he's projected to kicking, felt that it would be a good idea for him to kick in the stadium. And I know he, in his career, he's always wanted to kick in the stadium. There's something to be said about the depth perception when you're in that stadium. The backdrop is different. So feeling how far a 45-yard field goal, a 52-yard field goal feels different out here than it does in the stadium, just based off of the way the bleachers are set. And every stadium is unique in that sense. Realistically, you'd love to kick in every stadium before you actually kick in it. But that's where having a veteran like Koo, who has kicked in stadiums across the league, helps. But obviously, this being our home turf, he wants to make sure that he treats it like his home turf. And any opportunity we get to make him feel comfortable in that stadium, we will.
When we talked to Graham, he was pretty, confident he wouldn't need to go on IR again. Did it get worse? You obviously didn't IR him before last game. So what happened?
Yeah, you'll have to ask Calf on that with injuries. The fact of the matter is he was put on IR. I know Graham as a competitor did not want that, and his confidence going into this week was high, but again, can't speak to any of the injuries on that.
You guys brought in Sauls, right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Ben Sauls.
What did you like about him? I mean, obviously, you bring in another kicker to have here. Is it just a matter of liking his talent, seeing what he has?
Yeah, so coming out in the this draft class, like we always evaluate every specialist coming out, and he was one of the ones that we had ranked pretty high. So get an opportunity to work with him at some point, I think is important. I think he's a young and up and coming kicker. The talent is certainly there, and him obviously kicking in weathered conditions is really telling to the success that he could have in this league. Obviously kicking in Pittsburgh in an NFL stadium when the weather's cold, when the wind is prevalent, I think makes his value a lot higher. So excited to work with him, see where he's at. I know it's really new here for him and for us with him. But he's a guy that we've obviously identified early on in the draft process that we're like, this guy has a chance to kick in this league. So when an opportunity presents itself, we'd like to work with him.